All right, Wayne Bettis here, the founder of the Off the Tools podcast. I just want to introduce you to our brand new sponsor, directplumbing.supplies.com. It is founded by a former tradesman who has set up his own plumbing and heating merchants. He has an online shop, which is obviously at directplumbing.supplies.com, and he delivers across the UK. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the rest of the show.
You are now listening to Off the Tools with the one and only Wayne Bettis.
If you're passionate and driven and focused in what you do, people will take notice. You can achieve anything you want to achieve in life.
The excuses are not valid.
Wayne's World Wednesdays, coming at you. Wayne's World Wednesdays. It's another Wednesday. With who? With who's our leader? Wayne's World Wednesdays. Sing it. Wayne's World Wednesdays.
I'm not blessed with a good tone, so...
Take it away. Coming at you live from Dunstable and London and all across the world, because we can broadcast from wherever we are, on the Off the Tools podcast special on a very special Wednesday evening. It's Wayne's World Wednesdays, and I got to sing some rock and roll, man.
I'll get the hat back just to join in.
Thank you guys very, very much. I'm not one for big entrances. I'm a
That's an
subtle
understatement,
character.
isn't it?
I was actually, this is like the highlight of my day. I was thinking all day long. It's like, what can I do to just top the entrance of the last week and the week before that? And I just want to make it bigger and bolder and take more daring risks.
I'm loving the background. I want it.
Well, some of you may know that I used to be a rock star in a former life. And unfortunately, my dreams never came true. I made an album, but it's lovely, but it didn't go anywhere. And so now I'm living vicariously through Wayne's World Wednesdays. It's my opportunity to actually bring a little spirit. So welcome, Wayne. Welcome, Carolina.
Hello, everybody.
Welcome to the people on the Zoom. We've got Matt's iPad. We've got Molly H, and we've got James Barr, who, as usual, are just, a little bit shy. We do encourage people, if you're on the Zoom, let's see you. Let's have real conversations. Put your cameras on and speak to us, because today is a transformational book special.
I've already broken the rule. I've bought 3.
Well, I mean, you're Wayne. You can do whatever you want. This is your Wednesday, Wayne.
My kids, even my kids are going around singing Wayne's World Wednesday now.
I'm glad we recorded that. We can make that official theme to them. And by the way, YouTube and Facebook, that was no copyright. It was a royalty-free rock, which I found. So we're allowed to do it.
Excellent. We won't get penalized this time then.
Right. So why don't we get started and talk about transformational books? We thought a book that changed your life for the better that you can share. So at the end of this session, everybody can go away with a little bit of knowledge that isn't just like the bog standard Netflix and chill and, and just...
Who's going first?
Well, how about ladies first?
Go on then.
Ooh, wow! I'm honored. I'm really honored. So I'm gonna start with. Oh, where's my camera? The E-Myth Revisited. I don't know
Yeah.
if you said that, but this one, like in our business, there's a story of this woman. So it's kind of goes on the story of a woman who opens her dream pie shop, and then she's doing absolutely everything and tries to hire, but it gets out of control. And she basically like hasn't figured out that you've got to really think about your business from building the structure of the business, defining the roles of the business, defining the roles within that business, and then slowly start to hire to replace yourself. And that concept of like replacing myself was like really transformational, because I didn't think of it in that way. I didn't think about, I've always been the person that needs to kind of like do everything. So that was definitely highly recommend this one. Must.
Yeah, I'd second that as well. It's a very thought-provoking book, isn't it? It brings out some really key points about, like you say, replacing yourself in the journey. And I've read it a couple of times. I think I haven't read it for a few years now, but very good book.
Yeah.
Is it always possible to replace oneself?
Yes, I think it is. You've only got to look at the biggest business in the world. He's replaced himself,
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
hasn't he? He's stepping down at the end of the quarter. So if someone at that level can make themselves totally redundant, why can't you?
What, Bezos is stepping down?
Yeah, well, he's not being the chief exec from the end of the next quarter, I believe.
I didn't know
Q3.
that. Interesting.
Come out last night. Yeah.
There you go.
I think
And obviously it's a totally different scale, but the principles are still the same, aren't they? Do you know, he was the figurehead, he was the spearhead, he was the man behind it all, and obviously I think it's definitely possible to replace yourself. I think obviously it's a lot harder in a small business because of the financial burdens that are in place that obviously you have to be able to fund. But I'm not there yet, but I'm a long way down the journey, and I'm slowly ticking it again. I've read so many books, a lot of it probably come from E-Myth, but where basically I've been slowly ticking things off. And every quarter I relook at what I've been spending my time on, and where can that go? That can go over to blah, that can go to blah, you know, or I can outsource that, or I can automate that. I reckon if I had to, I could probably do it now. I think it's just the fact that I like it. I enjoy selling. I enjoy the bits that I do. So I've got no real reason to give that up.
So the E-Myth Revisited actually talks about it uses the story of someone who had a cake business, right? Or a pie shop. Right. It's interesting because a lot of businesses may feel like, okay, it doesn't apply to me, right? Because I'm not Amazon or Bezos. I'm not the pie lady, right? But actually, in reality, it uses the pies just very much as a metaphor. I'm not sure. Was this a true story?
I think what's really interesting is like it's the principle of the small business owner that basically is doing everything themselves and basically is absolutely like their dream of ever owning their own business is completely out the window because they're just exhausted. They're just like every single day an absolute slave to the business, and they just like completely lost any sort of sight of why did I even get into this, that they actually hate their business. And it's a great book because it teaches lessons through stories, which I find really powerful. And one of the things that really struck me is that one of the key messages that came out was no matter the size of your business, you have to properly think about the different roles, even if it's just you in your own business, starting from the top down, like from a CEO level to like the administrative staff that you have to like actually define those roles. What is everything involved, and what is everything involved within that role? What responsibilities? And then you slowly start to hire, or you do those roles yourself, and then you hire and replace yourself and set standard operating procedures of how you want things done. And I think like that's really, I love like what Wayne was saying just now, like you look at your tasks, you see what you're spending your time on, and then you try to see like what can you standardize and what can you delegate.
Yeah, definitely.
We're in the midst of doing that at the moment. Like we're seeing like everything that we think we're going to reuse in the future, we're documenting it. And it's the same for, our clients or plumbing and heating businesses. If you want to grow and ultimately you need to teach other people to do what you're doing to a similar quality that you're doing it as well. And that's, documenting the standard operating procedures in a way that, if you lose staff, the next person comes along, you just go, okay, here it is. This is how you do it. You just have to learn it and do. So yeah, it's super important for any business. Doesn't matter what industry you are in as well.
Definitely agree with that.
Yeah. And speaking of Bezos and Amazon, I think, Wayne, you're currently reading a book. Were you going to talk a little bit about the Bezos letters?
No, I wasn't, because I haven't finished it yet. So
Okay.
I want to make sure I've read it all and stuff. So I've got 3 others to discuss.
Oh God! The thing is that I won't.
I like the sound of my own voice, guys.
I won't go into depth on the Bezos letters, but what is fascinating to me about Amazon is that when you read a book like that and you analyze the thinking of the business owner, right? You see the method, right? The method is right there. 20 years of Amazon for everyone to see how they've done what they've done. And it's no mystery. It really is. It's not a mystery. It's not this, how did they do it? Customer first, investing in risk, and failure is part of their process. He just implemented ways of working in the business to cut out the bullshit, right? And just optimize that, from the people that you hire. How do you hire them? But then also, how do you instill a culture where they can, you're not in endless meetings all day long talking bullshit, but actually you also encourage and foster discussion and challenge and things like that. Anyway, and the whole conquering the world was premeditated from the start. And he knew Bezos 20 years ago. He knew what he was doing. He knew that he had to get customers en masse hooked into the system. And in fact, Amazon was not profitable for a long time before it actually started to make money, and the shareholders were freaking out, and Bezos would come in and say, like, just believe me, this is what is important. This is what's important. And there's
that statement there is very good. I noticed a guy, Jack, his name is, he posted about basically, you should always take advice and hear people's opinion, but ultimately you have to make your own decision. And like, he could have quite easily buckled to his shareholders, and changed things, but he was steadfast on what he believed to be right. I'm presuming he consulted and he sort of took people's opinions and professional advice, but ultimately he made his own decisions. And that is a fundamental, and it's a risk, isn't it? Because it basically, if it had failed, it would have been his name at the on the door, isn't it? And I think it's very important to listen to other people, but don't let them lead you down a path if it goes against what you believe. Do you know?
Yeah.
I think that's a very important point.
Yeah, absolutely. So you want to talk about your next book?
I've got 3, and the reason I chose 3 is because they all sort of played a different part of my growth as a person, as a businessman. But the first one is Rich Dad Poor Dad.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So for those that haven't read it, I'm not going to spoil it, but in essence, it's a very good story as well. Do you know, it takes you on the journey of throughout the whole thing, which is, it's really engaging and makes you listen. But fundamentally, this was probably I think it was the first sort of self-help, or whatever you want to call it, whatever genre it is, book that I read. It was actually my brother. Last time I mentioned my brother on the podcast, he told me off because he lost me money, and but this time it was a good thing. He actually I think he bought me the book, or he recommended it, one of the two. And I had just lost my business. I was sort of like rebuilding and everything, and fundamentally what it taught me was the difference between an asset and a liability. And for a lot of people, you might be an asset and a lie. I'm not going to teach you, because you go and read this book yourself, because the value's in there. But an asset and a liability is what you think it is. In essence, a bank's asset is your liability, and vice versa. And understanding that principle of asset and liabilities fundamentally changed everything that I did. Pretty much from that day, I started to look at things as assets and liabilities, and basically everything had these 2 compartments. It was either an asset or it was a liability, and I wanted to stack the assets out, more than the liabilities. It sounds really simple, but at the time I was probably 25, 26. And I didn't know this stuff. I hadn't had any higher education. I was just, GCSEs. I only did 3. I weren't thick, but I certainly didn't apply myself at school, so I didn't listen. So they might have taught assets and liabilities in the business studies class, but I certainly don't remember or listen to it. So 110 million %, I think, is worth the download or the read of that book. The next one that I wanted to mention was The 4-Hour Workweek, which was by Tim Ferriss. Fantastic. Again, another fantastic book. Takes you on these extravagant journeys around the world in the book. And the biggest thing for me was, up until that point of reading this one, I had just followed the status quo of working hard. Put 80 hours in, it'll be worth it in the end. Bust the ball all day, every day, weekends, whenever. And reading this sort of, it just opened up this sort of mindset that that's one way to do it. And people that do that in the past, partly because of their timing in the world, that was the only way. We aren't in that time now. We're in a time and place where you don't have to do that all the time. If you box clever, you can work. I don't work 4 hours a week. I work a lot more than 4 hours, but the principles have allowed me to build the businesses that I've got in a way that I can work a lot less than probably the vast majority of people that are in Off the Tools and in the groups. And so definitely go check that one out. Tim Ferriss. There's a brilliant, in the audio version, and it's obviously in the book, it's a poem. After the show, I'm going to try and find it. I screenshot it and clipped it, and it's a really good poem. And it was saying about the enjoy the dance. I won't ruin it because you need to hear it in the way he says it. The way it's brilliant. I'm going to post it into the group tonight. And that was fundamentally was very important to me as well, because up until that point, I was just 100 mile an hour, and that poem, it's world famous. So some of you might have already heard of it, but that poem alone, just sort of, again, it was just something that just really sort of like stuck in me. And I often go back and play it, if I'm feeling stressed or feeling overpulled in all different directions. So remind me after to post that, because I think it's worth a listen. And then this one was actually recommended from Uncle Ray Stafford. And I spent my whole 20s thinking I was surrounded by idiots. I couldn't understand why people didn't think like I did. I couldn't understand why people acted like the way they did. And I used to get very frustrated. I used to be not physically aggressive, but I'd get quite confrontational with people. And if they, I was very dominant in my thoughts and my beliefs, and pushed a lot of people away at the time. And reading this, I think I read it about 2 years ago now, and it explained everything. It explained why, why everyone's different, and it puts people into categories, which I know people don't like to be categorized, but in general, humans have certain traits, and this book, it does a huge amount of work on understanding how and why people are different, and how to treat the people that are, or if you can identify certain traits, you know how to deal with them better. So as a human being, I can deal with people, all different types of people, amazingly better than I ever could have 2 or 3. So that they're definitely the 3 books that I would say have probably made the biggest impact. I've read lots of others, and that a lot of the information and ideas and stuff are quite common in a lot of them. But I tried to, when you said about the subject that we were going to talk about, Francis, I sort of really, I didn't have to think long to pull these out of the bookshelf. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. That they were like, okay, these were fundamental shifts in me as a person. So I just wanted to share that with you.
And so let me ask you, about that book, Surrounded by Idiots. How has it changed you in the relationships that you now have with other people?
With my staff, for starters, I'm not going to categorize them on air, but I know what category they're in. I know what color, because it's basically color coded. So I know how to leverage them from the traits that they show. Does that make sense? So if I need to discipline somebody, if they've done something wrong, in the past, I would have just effed and jeffed and slammed them. Whereas from reading this book, there's certain people that you can't do that to, because it's just not going to work. And there's other people that does work. For me personally, I need to be shouted at. I need to be effed and jeffed at for me to actually listen. If someone's pussyfooting around, I ain't listening. I've lost interest. But for most people, that's not the case. And so man management, or woman management, whatever you want to call it, it's made a difference there. Even with my wife, hopefully she's not listening, because I don't want to know my tricks. I know how to play the game a little bit better. Basically, the game of life. It just gives me the tools that I can pick up things from somebody, and I think, I need to approach this in a little bit of a different way to maybe what I might have naturally done. And it's not being fake. It's about knowing your surroundings and sort of being sensible to that. You can't go into a china shop and start having a fight. Who is this? You're just going to cause a mess. So you have to play the game right, don't you?
Yeah, absolutely. And there's also, I think, an element that we are just cognitive biological organisms in this planet called Earth, right? In the universe.
I know I just remembered you've done stuff on this, haven't you? You've got like a degree in it or something.
Yeah, not a degree, but I've studied like the philosophy of business. And here's the thing: is to do business, you need to do people.
Yeah. 100%.
Right? If you're going to be good in business, you need to be good with people. You can't just tell everybody to fuck off and they're an idiot when you don't like them, because you're not going to be in business very long, whether they're customers or staff. You're always going to be interacting with other human beings, because we are a social social animal. We cannot survive alone. And the thing is, I think that a lot of us, most of the world, especially in our culture, in our capitalist Western culture, we're sort of brought up to believe this myth that we are the center of the universe, meaning the I, like I know best and what I see is true and I'm absolutely sure and my belief is the one true belief and I know better than everyone else and everyone else is an idiot, right? And I also believed that for many, many years, but you know what? Those beliefs didn't serve me.
Mm-hmm.
They just, you can believe it, but they're not effective beliefs. They're not going to propel your relationship. In fact, they're just going to make your relationships more difficult. They're going to make business hard. They're going to make you miss opportunities with other people. And when you start to read these books and actually grow the way you look at the world, the way you look at other people, and you realize, okay, listen, there might be people that I prefer not to have in my ecosystem because either they're not good people for me or they are they don't stimulate me, they don't help me, or they just don't bring anything of value to my world. You can make a choice not to frequent or be associated with those people. But, you know, the world is a very dynamic place, right? And as soon as we think that we know something, as soon as we think we're sure about something, that our belief is the one true one, I think that you're on a very dangerous path. And it's especially in business, that openness to be malleable, like flexible and fluid, and to change the way you think and to change your company constantly. And to be doing this and doing that, because those businesses that do thrive are constantly changing and evolving and adapting.
And that goes for life as well. That word malleable, you know, if you have a fixed mindset, you're limiting yourself. Whereas being malleable and being open to listen, learn, and if that means changing your opinions and your thought processes, that's growth, isn't it? That, fundamentally, if you don't do that, you're just stuck and you're not going anywhere. And I spent my 20s pretty much stuck, you know, with my political beliefs, my social beliefs, my what I thought were my business sort of fundamentals, and ever since I sort of let go of that and accepted that I can change my mind. It doesn't mean I'm weak. It doesn't mean that I've done anything wrong. It just means I've grown. Simple as that. You know?
And there's also the consumption of information, right? There's new information.
Yeah.
That, you exactly. know, you believe something because you have a certain amount of information in your life. And then throughout life, you find new information, and you have the power as a free thinking human being to change your mind or to evolve your beliefs. And there's nothing wrong with that.
I think some people feel it's a weakness if they change their opinion, when it's not, and it's the opposite, I believe. So, but I think social pressures sort of indicate that to change your mind means that you've given in. You're weak. You're not strong and sort of fortified on on what you're doing. But, you know, just to go on to something political there, that is fundamentally the problem with politics per se, isn't it? Is that you have these people that are so fixed on either side, and really it's only the people that work in the middle that are happy to sort of like cross over a little bit, excuse me, drinking too much Diet Coke, actually change anything. You know, the people that on either side that are fixed in their beliefs rarely do anything, do they? So, yeah. I could talk about this shit all night. I love it. If I could go back now, I would have like studied something like psychology and human behavior and things like that. And if I ever get to the position, I might even consider doing it like as an adult, like as a grown-up person.
Yeah, well, you're still a little spring chicken.
It's funny. I've got 4 children, and sometimes I have to sort of like stop and say, "Shit, I'm a dad. Like, can I really do that? Can I say that?"
So we got Matthew here on the call, one of the only brave people to just turn his camera on. Thank you. Welcome.
He just wants to show off that beard, doesn't he? That's all he wants to do.
That very manly grizzly beard you've brought along. Do you have a book that you would like to perhaps share with us, or something that has, maybe changed your life or your business, or something you can share with others?
He's mute. Oh, there you go.
There we go. Are we on?
Yeah. Welcome. How you doing?
Good. You?
Yeah, good, man. Good.
So,
right, go on. I've been looking forward to this. Once you posted the other day, I want to see what you got to say.
yes, I've read quite a few books. And, well, to be fair, I don't read them. I listen to them. I can't read a book, so I'm an audible man. But the one that always sticks out for me is Pumpkin Plan.
Yeah.
That were the one. That really changed my thought process on business. Was the Pumpkin Plan. Great book.
I had listened to or read Purple Cow by Seth Godin, which is a similar sort of like philosophy, so to speak. So when I read Pumpkin Plan, it didn't have the same impact, if that makes sense. Yeah. But I can see, for someone that hadn't read the Purple Cow, how that would have been like a real game-changing sort of thoughts. So, and that's by Profit First Guy, isn't it? The Pumpkin Plan, Mike or whatever.
Can't say second name. Mike Michalowicz.
Motorbike Mike.
Yeah.
We listened to that actually pretty recently. I really, really enjoyed it a lot. And here's the thing: is that these books, the concepts, in terms of like business growth, life growth. Like, I think life and business growth, I think, are one and the same, because you cannot grow a profitable, successful business without growing yourself.
The 3 Bs, Mr. Francis, the 3 Bs.
Yeah. I borrowed that from Wayne. But yeah, you can't. And so that's why life and business are so intertwined. And then the books are not just about business. It's also about the mind and the way you think about things. And yeah, I really enjoyed the Pumpkin Plan as well. And growing seeds. In fact, actually, Matthew, did you want to add?
No, I was just agreeing with you.
Yeah.
What was your biggest takeaway from it?
From Pumpkin Plan?
Yeah.
Just one line in there. One line, it always sticks out with me. And that is, more is not better. Better is better. So, like, for me to resonate with that, it's like, I ain't got to work 5 days a week. I've only got to work 2. As long as I bring that money in 2 days or 5 days, it don't matter.
Yeah.
It don't matter. So, yeah, that was the one line that I always took away from that book.
Nice. Okay, I have a book that I brought today, and I'm actually in the midst of reading it. But I wanted to talk about it because already it's just what I need, what I personally need right now. I'm going to share it. So it's called The Slight Edge.
I've heard of Jeff Olson.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Has he written other stuff?
He's written a couple of other things. He has a mini one of these, like for teens, but I think this is his big one. And this is super interesting because the slight edge, the way it's taught, it's basically the philosophy about letting time take its course and using the phenomenon of time in your life as an asset or as a power. Okay. So for example, if you see the Grand Canyon, the Grand Canyon, the mountains or any mountains, like those are basically the creation of water, streaming through for millions and millions and millions of years. And after that time passes, you have the biggest, most beautiful crevasse. And the thing is that in life and business, admittedly, we want results faster and more immediately. And when we don't get them, we give up.
The curse of instant gratification.
It is. And, like being successful in business or being sustainable in business or getting, fulfilling your goals, getting the amount of money you want, getting that house that you've dreamed of, that life that you dreamed of, that success, that whatever success means to you. It very, very rarely happens overnight. And in a lot of cases, when it does happen overnight, it's lost very quickly, right? Because you haven't learned the slight edge.
Wow, I'll check that out. There's a saying, isn't there, for it takes 10 years for every overnight success to come to fruition. So
yeah, that's right. And whether you're losing weight, and you see, and the cool thing is that the people that are successful, losing weight, building muscle, building a business, it's not that they're super brilliant or smarter than you or I or the next man or woman. It is that they've just practiced consistency. Mm-hmm. And they've done the small things, the small mundane things that you have to do every single day. And they keep on doing it, and they keep on doing it, they keep on doing it, and they see no results, then some results, then some more results. And then 5 years pass, and you've got a fit body. 5 years passed, and you've got a great business. But why? Because you kept on doing those little things.
I learned that principle a few years back with a coach from America called Garrett, and he used a baseball analogy that you can stand there and swing and trying to hit a home run, and yeah, you might hit that, you might hit one every now and then, but the majority of the time you're going to swing and miss, or you're going to get caught out. Whereas if you focus on the singles and you just keep knocking them singles away, dishing them away one after the other, just little single, before you know it, you've totted up this huge score, and you're miles ahead. And that really hit home to me again. Like, I was always one of them people that I wanted it now. I wanted this big result right now. And the guys that I work with, I have to slow them down because everyone, I think it's just nature, isn't it? Human and the instinct in us. We just want stuff. Like, if you see it, you want it. If it's shiny, you want it. And slowing down is so important. And it sounds like The Slight Edge is going to be quite an interesting book on that side of things. So,
and I've personally, struggled with that instant gratification as well. With my body and my business as well. And, you always want things to be done faster, but actually it's been really helpful part of the process. And actually that's the word, the process, is that, say, where this community is looking to get off the tools. Getting off the tools is a process. It might take years for a business to get there, right? And so the misconception that you're going to join this group or listen to a couple of podcasts and next month they'll be off the tools, it's not realistic. But off the tools is not an end. It's a process. It's a way of life. It's a way of being. It's a way of interacting with people and growing your business, because ultimately we want to liberate ourselves from working on the business and build a business that makes an impact. And so it is a process in every sense of the word. And we need to get better at actually not thinking just about the end result and being focused on that, on the future, but being focused also on the moment right now. What am I doing right now in terms of those three Wayne Bettis's B's?
on that impact thing, right? I spent years. I'm sorry to keep jumping in, but you keep triggering these thoughts that I have, and I'm a red. If you ever read Surrounded by Idiots, I'm a red and a bit of a yellow. So I've lost my train of thought already. Impact. So I spent thousands on all these different coaches and courses and freaking programs and books and audios and podcasts, blah blah blah. And it always like they always sort of said, like, what impact do you want? And I kept looking at my boiler, like my boiler company, and I kept thinking, what do you mean impact? Right? And for years I was just like, I don't get it. I do not understand. What do you mean? I fit someone's boiler, they've got heat in the hot water, they've forgotten about it the next day because it's back to normal. Then I took a different approach and realized that the impact that my business can be is to bring those around me up with me through the business. And once that triggered, once that had sort of like hit, then it made sense because, yeah, I want to help the customer and I want to impact them as well. But at the end of the day, we're plumbing and heating engineers. There's only so much impact that we can give someone because they just get used to it. Once the boiler's fixed, it's fixed, isn't it? And they quickly forget. So I shifted like the sort of focus around who can I bring along with me? And I've got my brother-in-law, my sister-in-law. We've got my nephew starting in the summer. And that's the impact I want to have. Yeah. So I want the impact. And obviously for me to be able to bring them along with me on my journey and help them improve, we've ultimately got to serve the clients and customers as best as we can. So fundamentally, whether you're making the impact with the customer or whether you're making the impact with the people around you, it doesn't really matter because they both feed each other. And I just chose to focus on the fact that I wanted a family business that could sustain and grow with the people that I love and care for. Does that make sense? And perfect. And that is what I want to do, and that's what we're on our way to doing. And funnily enough, I actually got interviewed, like a email interview, so it was just answering a couple of questions by the mayor of our local town. And basically, I echoed this basically what I just said about how that we're a family business and we want to bring the business to be as family based as we can. And and when I understood that about the impact and it just made everything else click into place, because for me to do that, I've got to be operating at a high level, because I've now not only got obviously myself and my family, I've got my sister-in-law, my brother-in-law. Yeah. I've got my other engineer and his partner and his kids, and yeah, it was really important once I understood that. Because when the first time round, I never looked at it like that, and I never it didn't even cross my mind. And again, that comes down to I've got a malleable mind, and I was willing to soak in this information, learn from all these people, and then come to a conclusion that I was happy with. Yeah. I mean, and what's building a business for at the end of the day? Because it can also be a shitload of a pain in the ass, a pain in the arse as well. But if you know what you're building, say that again. Pain in the arse. Sorry, it sounded so funny coming from your accent. Sorry to highlight that. I had to do it. Fuck you. All right, so we are coming to the end of the session. No more books, no more questions for Wayne Bettis, the Unstoppable. No? Well, it's been a bit of a quiet night tonight, and I thought it would be quite busy tonight. I thought people would wanted to get on and see what books and stuff to sort of jump on and stuff, but hey ho, it is what it is. Consistency. Do you know, before we know it, we'll be reaching millions around the world. So, absolutely. And then people will have been gutted that they never jumped on early and asked the questions, won't they? That's right, because as time goes by, our prices to get one-to-one consultations with us just exactly. The zeros keep adding. But I had a good time learning about these books. So I really enjoyed this conversation, Wayne and Carolina. Thank you very, very much. Yeah, and thank you, Matt, for speaking about I think he's already gone, but thank you for speaking about the Purple cow. No, it weren't the purple cow. That's what I said, wasn't it? Pumpkin plan. So are we going to get an early night then? 8:45. Get in.
We'll see you on the same Wayne's World Wednesdays next Wednesday, 8 p.m. Everybody.
God bless. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening. This episode was brought to you by Off the Tools.
I really hope you enjoyed the show. I just wanted to pull it out there for anyone listening that I offer business coaching, but also life coaching. My life is centered around something called the 3 Bs, which stands for body, business, and balance. When you work with me as a coach, we tackle all 3 aspects of life. So you as an individual, body, mindset, health, fitness, knowledge, education. Business B obviously stands for your business, improving, maximizing opportunities, elevating, making more money. And balance stands for for friends, family, loved ones, making time for everything in your life. And the 3 Bs is the core element to that. If you'd like to learn more, I would ask you to reach out to me on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, wherever you might be consuming my information. Or you can email me directly at wayne@offthetools.co.uk. I'm here waiting to assist you to elevate across all aspects of life. Have a good one. No excuses. Let's go.